My name is Craig Wheatley, and we're going to look at Chapter 13, The Dilemma in Online Education. Online education is becoming the means of how our society is able to get their education due to full-time careers and families. Many are no longer able to commit to going to a 3-hour-a-week course for a semester. Instead, many choose to go online. However, we must look to see if these courses fully satisfy the needs of being online if they meet specific guidelines to earn credit. In Chapter 13, we look at the standards that measure online courses and put them to the test. The chapter examines quality standards that have been proposed for the delivery of online instruction in 4 different areas: state licensing, volunteer accreditation, market-driven approval, and internal improvements. All these combined provide educational goals and sustaining commitment to support learners and improve the teaching and learning environment. In our presentation on the quality of online education, we will look at the following: paradigm shifts, common standards, the Australian and British standards, the Canadian and American standards, and the goals of the online education program. In this section, we look at transforming higher education from the traditional classroom to the online classroom. In this shift, we see classrooms becoming learner-centered and instead of being teacher-centered. By doing this, students can be flexible in their learning pace. The author brings up a few good points when she asks, can a course deliver on their promises? Can the faculty accept the legitimacy of an online courses? And can delivery overwhelm veteran learners while meeting the needs of younger learners? All of these are good points, and I agree with each of them. An online course has to prove itself by being accessible for all learners, while at the same time meeting the needs of what the course is intended to do. Next, faculty must accept the fact that the world is changing and the ways of old of standing in front of a class and lecturing for an hour are not the ways students learn in today's world. Students are expected to communicate with colleagues, and therefore online courses with group participation should be accepted as a way of learning by faculty to help students become the 21st century learner and graduate. Lastly, online courses need to be a balance of technology for the sake of all students. The technology does not need to be so advanced where students cannot keep up, but does not need to be on a low level where students who are fast get bored easily. I think it's important that there be some type of class that shows you how to work technology of an online class before taking the class. As far as levels, I believe that what USC is doing in our classes is a great example of how an online course should be run. Online courses are sometimes looked at as diploma mills, and this is definitely not the case. So the countries of Australia and Great Britain came up with the national standards to govern what should be in an online course curriculum. According to the author, the development of the national system with both Australia and Great Britain was framed for competitive challenges and encourages universities to align themselves with industry needs. I believe that this is an important concept because you want your students to be able to learn what they need to know to be able to succeed in their jobs, and you need to make sure that all degrees earned online are valid, and one university cannot be favored upon more than another in terms of online learning. In Great Britain, there is an agency, the Quality Assurance Agency, or QAA, which is to promote public confidence that quality online education is safeguarded and enhanced by focusing on student experience, peer review, mutual trust, and emphasis on maintenance. The guidelines for online learning in the QAA are outcomes, resources, selling, provides, and collaboration. I agree with this agency and their stance because of accountability. This agency has one thing in mind: the learning of students and holding the course accountable for the students' learning and progress. The Canadian standard is very similar to the Australian and Great Britain system, except the Canadian system is governed from the provinces and not the national level. Canadian standards, as viewed by the author, are comprehensive, futuristic, adaptable, and flexible. In my opinion, this is how online courses should be. These areas of focus make the course meaningful to all members and also bring consistency to the course, making each student not have to adapt a new standard each time they take an online course. The Canadian system also asks questions before having students sign up for a course, which are: what are the purpose of taking the course? Do I need credit when I finish the course? What do I need to know? How much time can I spend on the course? Will my internet or computer skills be enough? These questions stimulate student thinking and allow them to process what they are getting into before the start of the course. If more institutions ask these questions of their students, then classes might have a clearer view, or the class might not be taken by some. The American system says that the emergence of electronic degrees has potential to undo the balance between accreditation and regulation of institutions and the federal government having to rely on accreditation for federal funds. In other words, it seems that the Americans are worried that electronic degrees are not as effective as students do not learn from them like they would in a traditional classroom. I disagree with this writing. In my opinion, online education is the way to go, and students are held highly accountable for their actions and assignments, much as they are in the traditional classroom. We will always have traditional classrooms, but we will also grow in technological classrooms, and their rigor is the exact same as the traditional classroom. There are a few goals of practicing online education that I would like to bring up. First, the class should not be restricted to technical mastery in specific subjects, measure of effectiveness of educational goals and how they align, and sustain institutional commitment to support distance learners. I agree with each of these goals because we should go above and beyond and showcase what we learn. Secondly, consistency is important to all classes, and students need the consistency, especially in online learning. And third, what do students need to be able to achieve their goals, and what support can be given to them? All these goals coming together as one helps to be able to shape and mold the 21st century learner and graduate. Overall, it is important to set the standard is in play for online learning and education for consistency and fairness. Also, electronic and distance learning are the new ways of the future. Countries and faculty are beginning to accept this, and they are realizing that it is possible to have a program that is online but also rigorous and meets the requirements of traditional university classroom. After all, any class has goals, and by the end of the program, no matter how the information was delivered, either electronically or traditionally, you hope that the students have learned what they are supposed to by accomplishing the goals of the class.